Underneath the vehicle, just above the rear axle beam here, we have two straps shaped in a V supporting the fuel tank. These back bolts here, we want to loosen these here, probably about an inch or so. We don't want to remove them. Loosen them just enough where we can lower the tank a little bit. I'll show you that in just a minute. Using a 13mm socket. Do the same for the other side. Now that we have these two loose, we have some flexibility here out of this tank. Let's now move to the inside of the vehicle. Now underneath the front part of this bottom cushion, you reach underneath and there's a lever that actually pushes to the driver's side. There's one right underneath this side right here, and there's one on that side there. Gently pull up, reach underneath, and with your thumb, push that lever over. And this is unlocked. We're going to do the same for the other side over here. Now we can lift up the front section here. Now we want to push the seat backward and lift up. There's going to be 3 latches, the 2, one on each end and one right in the middle. Pull out our seat cushion, set that aside. Now underneath here is going to be your fuel pump, and this is just a rubber or plastic boot. So we're going to use a trim tool, going to get underneath the edge here, and just going to go ahead and work our way around. Pop this up. Just work this harness back a little bit. And this little retainer right here, use a trim tool. This is going to allow for us to have a little mobility out of this harness. So we have a connector right on the top here. I want to go ahead and pinch in on the connector here. Going to wiggle that and disconnect that, and we can put that harness aside. This is the top of our fuel sending unit and pump unit. So what we're going to do is we want to go ahead and clean everything off up here, getting this dust, debris, dirt, things like that out of here, because we don't want anything to drop into the tank once we get this loose. Now on the top right here we have our fuel pressure line. I want to go ahead and use a pick. I want to release this lock tab here. Now at this point here we can go ahead and just put a couple towels underneath. We're going to pop this off. There might be a little bit of residual gas in this fuel line. We'll just use the towels to catch that. Now you always want to be wearing safety glasses when doing something like this here. The clip is released, so what we're going to do is we're going to cover this a little bit. We're just going to wiggle this hose off of the fuel sending unit. Next, there's a lock ring on the top, this metal lock ring. We're going to go ahead and use a brass punch on something like this here. You never want to use a screwdriver or big steel piece, because if you have sparks, well, sparks and fuel can cause an issue. So use a brass punch. What we're going to do is get one of these little tabs right here, and we're going to spin this around and unlock it. So now we have the lock ring loose. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and lift that up. Now what we're going to try and do is move this lock ring. Now when we loosen the 2 bolts underneath supporting the tank, it gave us enough room to push down the tank and move our lock ring off to the side like so. There's no need to modify the ring here or use pliers to bend anything up or damage it. Just slide that lock ring off to the side, push your fuel line over, and wiggle the sending unit up. Go ahead and lift this up. Pay attention to this tab here. It'll actually be marked on the tank itself and what position that needs to be in. Go ahead and raise the unit up. Now you want to be careful because fuel will leak out of this here, so you want to have a catch can, some towels ready to go. There's the float. So we're going to lift this straight up and into our bucket. Let's go ahead and set our new gasket in place here. And we did go ahead and run a vacuum in here and cleaned up any debris around that O-ring. All right, let's go ahead and set the fuel pump down into place. I'm going to start by lowering our sending unit into the tank. Lower the pump down in. And once we get that fuel pump lined up, go ahead and bring your lock ring on over. And get that pressed on a little bit. Let's go ahead and use our punch and walk that right back around into place. Once we have that lined up, let's go ahead and get our fuel line put back on. Press that on and put our lock on. Simply press it on until you hear it click. Let's get and line up our connector. Press that down until you hear it click. Let's go and install our boot. Work your way around, get that popped into place. Then we'll go ahead and press our little retainer back onto that stud right like that. Let's go ahead and get our seat lined up. Pull your seat belts up through the notches. Push down on the corner there, and one over here. And that's it, we're locked in. Now let's go ahead and tighten up our strap bolts here. Repeat for the other side.